Hi, everyone. Welcome back to White Cane Day in Beckley, West Virginia. Our next interview is going to be with one of Cole's teachers, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to learn in this area, to teach in this area, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say. Let me introduce Dr. Professor Nancy Burton of Concord University. She teaches elementary, secondary, and pre-service special education majors, along with some other things. Nancy's going to talk to us now a little bit about what she teaches, her style, and who she's teaching. And I know that one of the people she's teaching is Cole. Thank you for being with us, Nancy.
Thank you for having me. I think this is a unique opportunity, and I appreciate the opportunity very much. As you said, I teach pre-service teachers, classroom teachers at Concord. Those teachers range from elementary majors to secondary majors, and our special ed folks. We have a standalone special education program, and those are the folks that I focus much of my time on, because that's their major. Um, the the program itself is not so much what I want to talk about at this point. What I'd like to explain is that every education major in the state of West Virginia is required to take 6 hours of special education. And during those 6 hours, we try very hard to make sure that folks who are not special ed teachers, who are not becoming special ed teachers, understand the nature of inclusive environments. So we discuss learning disabilities. We talk about behavior disorders. We learn about individuals with intellectual disabilities, as well as all of the other exceptionalities listed in federal law, IDEA. We spend some time talking about individuals with visual impairments. I know this format, or this program is basically focused on that population. And I think it's important that individuals understand that my philosophy is there's room at the table for everybody. So the more I can prepare my students to walk into their classrooms to address the needs of the individuals that they are teaching, the better off they're going to be, the better prepared they're going to be. And that's my goal. We talk about strategies and techniques and things that we can do to make the learning experience for individuals with any disability much more positive. My goal is to include or to teach my students to include anyone that walks through the door. I think that that's essential in our society today. I feel like I need to share just a little bit of something that happened to me when I was teaching. I actually taught some graduate classes at Marshall at one time. And I had an individual, it was my first experience with an individual with visual impairments. He's very articulate young man, and quite frank about his beliefs and the things that were happening to him. And this one day in particular, I was explaining some things and he asked a question, and without realizing it, I raised my voice. And his statement to me, and it was a statement I'll never forget because I learned a volume of information from it, but his statement to me was, you know, Dr. Burton, I can hear you, I just can't see you. And I think that is a lesson that we laughed, and I had I guess I had one of those epiphanies, at that moment it hit me. We never know what folks are going through, and what we assume as non-disabled or, individuals that don't deal with those disabilities, we tend to do things that are inappropriate. And that was inappropriate of me to raise my voice to him, not in anger, but just trying to compensate for him. Um, and I think we do that a lot of times, even with other disabilities. We see someone in a wheelchair, and we may um, make assumptions that should not be made. So I think that this program and others like it are essential to the understanding of the general public. As we were talking just a few minutes ago, I think as awful as COVID has been, I think we have learned some lessons about communication and working together and pulling together. And I think that's essential. I think individuals who do not experience disabilities um, sometimes need to learn lessons the hard way. Um, when Cole was in my class, I, I have to say, Cole is a unique young man. He is finding his voice, I think. He was finding his voice back then and was very articulate, very willing to share his experiences with his classmates, which added so much more to our class. But he taught me several things and taught me more about an awareness. We take for granted that folks around us um, do things pretty much the same way that we do, and they don't. I don't know that there's any other person like me, and that's probably better than you know. I don't know that there's another person like Cole, and and that's the way we were created. We are unique. If we celebrate that uniqueness, we can also celebrate what we can learn from each other. And as I said, as a student in my class, Cole was very active, articulate about his disability, and in some ways, he taught more than I did during that time when we were talking about visually impaired individuals.
Cole, it looks like we're having a little bit of trouble here with technical trouble with Nancy. Maybe you can jump in and tell us about the class that you took. Oh, shoot, we lost her. And about what you're studying.
Yes. Well, I had Dr. Burton's class in 2018, and that was the Introduction to Special Education, as she mentioned. At that time, I was majoring in elementary education. Um, Now, currently, I'm a social work major with a minor in criminology, and I want to, after I graduate with my bachelor's, go on to get my master's and become a counselor. I feel as though the information that I learned from Dr. Burton not only will aid me and guide me in the social work field with those various jobs, but also as a counselor, because I would love to work with children. And the information that she taught will really stay with me, not just in my professional career, but also how I interact with everyone. You know, you have to take in a lot of things
Mhm.
into account. You know, like she always says, there's room at the table for everyone. And ever since she said that, I've tried to incorporate that into my day-to-day life, my day-to-day encounters with everyone, and truly just put forth the kind, positive attitude to everyone you meet, no matter if they're rude to you. If you're, say, at the store and you have a rude cashier, they may be going through something that you know nothing about. So if you respond with kindness, that may truly impact them. Um, was that sufficient?
Cole, that was lovely. I thank you for sharing that with us. But it leaves me with a question. Can you talk to us a little bit? I know we've learned a lot about you today, and we've learned a lot about some of your very um original skills, I'll call them. Um, because you are a clever guy. But I'm curious about what it is that draws you to working with children and what got you started in this direction.
Um, well, I have always admired teachers really, and I've always just loved the thought of being able to teach and educate. So when I was a senior, I went to the Academy of Careers and Technologies and took the early childhood education course. Um, with that course, I did pass and get my certifications, and I also passed the NOCDI test, which is like a national credential standards test. And I did end up exceeding the national standards, and I did get to go to a little convention and well, I was supposed to meet the governor, but that never happened. But so I've been very, very passionate about educating and teaching. And so when I started off at Concord, I knew that was what my heart was set on, was I wanted to teach. So I did. And then it got to the point where I discovered that my limited vision would play a role in the classroom. And I was like, okay, well, is there another field that I could go into that would still allow me to educate and teach, but just in a different way? And so I truly felt like after having my introduction to social work course, that that would be the correct path. And so after switching my major and taking some more social work courses, I felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I truly took that as a sign. As for working with children, I've just been very, very passionate about that. I would say from a young age, I was always like I would say that people always describe me as like the brother or the father of the friend group. I always try and look after children all the time. Um, which is what I would always do when I was younger. So I guess recognizing those early signs, I felt like I was a very caring child, and I would always try and help my mom take care of my brother and things of that nature. And I'd always help my mom's friends watch their kids and stuff. So I truly feel like I feel like I'm meant to work with children in my own way. And so with counseling, I would not only be able to counsel young children, I would be able to really help anybody that needs my help. And I really feel like one of my purposes is to just help where I can help out. And after attending the class at the Mountain State Centers for Independent Living, I also found out that advocacy is one of my passions, and I can incorporate that with my educating that I love to do. So it really felt like a win-win when I decided to go into social work. And um, as of right now, I want to become a counselor, but of course, the wind may blow me another direction. We shall see. But with this career, it's truly about helping others and making society a better place, which really needs to happen. A lot of issues in our society could be changed for the better. So I'm hoping that I can be a catalyst for change.
I'd like to,
Cole, that's fabulous. I just want to say how proud we are at Mountain State of Cole and how he's taken what he learned and has stepped into advocacy in a strong way. And I know that he's not going to walk away from that, and how important that is for all people with disabilities to be able to advocate for themselves. Um, and and Nancy, I'd like to give you some time here to close up for us.
well, I would like to piggyback on that as well. And I'm glad that you brought up the idea of advocacy, because Cole, one of the things that is most difficult for individuals with with disabilities is this idea of self-advocacy. And it's something that needs to be taught. There they have those individuals need a voice, and the voice needs to be their own, so that I can come into a classroom, I can look at you in my classroom and think, okay, I need to make some adjustments. But until you actually tell me what works for you, then I'm just making guesses. So it's essential, whether you're in a classroom or you're counseling a student or you're working with a family with a child who has a disability. Um, it is essential that individuals learn how to self-advocate. Now, having said that, I also think that individuals without disabilities need to learn to self-advocate. So you will not be in social work, you will not necessarily be working just with individuals with disabilities, obviously. So what you have learned, and you make me proud, what you have learned and your attitude is such that, number one, folks will be able to learn and pick up the information that they need in order to be self-advocates. Number two, you are walking hope. You are a walking inspiration because you don't let your disability limit you. Um, when the wind blows, you're going to go with it. As you said, it may blow you whichever way. And that's a wonderful metaphor, because um, the bottom line is understanding yourself, being confident in yourself, and being an independent adult is exactly what every educator from kindergarten all the way through university, that's what we want. We want to be able to produce individuals in a society that are caring and compassionate and who are understanding with others, regardless of what career path you may take. So yes, there's room at the table for everybody, and I'm glad that you remember that and practice that. Um, I want folks to know that, it's not the disability that counts, it's the person that counts, always. Um, and it's a challenge, to me, being in the field of special education, or being in the field of education, has always been a challenge for me, in that my question to myself has always been, how can I make life better for the folks that I encounter? And I think you have echoed that very same thing. And that is that's commendable, and I appreciate it, and it makes me proud, because that's what's going to change society. That type of attitude. How can I become, as you said, the catalyst of change? How can we become a better society? Because we can do better. I believe that. And I appreciate opportunities like this for folks to get that message out. And I appreciate you, Nancy. I appreciate your willingness to work with me through this as well. And I want you to continue to be the catalyst of change. Cole, I really do expect great things from you, so don't let me down, man.
I won't.
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us today. And I know I've learned some new things, and my eyes have been opened in a different way. And Cole is just always does that with me. I enjoy listening to whatever it is he has to say, because I seem to learn something. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And we were glad to have you